Hello and welcome everybody. We are at our Global Lounge call and it is, of course, just getting rolling here. And I want everyone to make sure that you have either a document open with which to take some notes, that you have a pen and paper. If you're a little old school, I've got pen and tablet ready to roll. And we will just give a moment or two of grace for people to jump on the line, and I will get the PowerPoint up and running, and then let us get moving and shaking. So I'm just Mr. Cohen. How are you? Good to see you. Glad to see you back in our part of the world.
I am. Now, if I were only feeling 100%, we'd be doing well.
Oh, no. That travel stuff takes it out of us, man.
At least it was on the plane ride home, not the plane ride there, so it's all good.
Got it. Okay, I was just letting people know, fill your coffee, fill your tea, get something to write with, and then we're going to jump in momentarily. We'll give people a moment or two of grace to jump on in. Hello, Ms. Kat. Hello, Craig. Hello, Marlene. Hello, Carolyn. And then we'll get moving and shaking. And by the way, thank you for juggling a little bit with me. The accessibility of flights going back and forth and all that fun stuff, it doesn't always work out for our what do we call it? We get preempted sometimes by travel. Good to see you, Deborah. We'll get moving and shaking in just 2 moments. I'll be right back. Hello, Mary Frances, and anyone else whom I have missed. Hello, Miss Heather Pierce. You are on my phoning list. In fact, I am so pleased that you've showed up because maybe we could set up a time that could work even to connect briefly today afterwards. So do me a favor, gang. Confirm that you can see the little PowerPoint slide there that says JVology. Yeah, we can. Perfect. So I'm going to do our little preamble here because I know that we got some new folks, and I know that we've got some old folks, and we got some folks that haven't. Old folks, meaning not old. As I'm aging, I'm becoming more sensitive to that. Not old. We got people who have been in the community for a while. We'll rephrase that. So short version is this: the JVology Global Lounge calls have a very specific structure to them. Basically, we do a little bit of housekeeping. I share a little bit of content. We have opportunities for invitations and opportunities, things that are going on in your world that we can participate in and share with. And of course, just regrounding ourselves is that we're committed to supporting millions of people in creating mutually productive, supportive relationships that benefit everyone involved. And really, we're most interested in building the communities that really support these kinds of relationships and making our lives and our businesses a whole hell of a lot easier. So on that note, I want to, and I know a bunch of you are actually logged for this, but I know some of you aren't as well. I want to just give you a couple of brief updates on our end before we dive into details. So JVology Live in San Diego, November 30th to December 2nd. 2 things to that is that anybody who is a Global Lounge member, of course, has complimentary tickets to JVology Live. Many of you on here are JV Mastery members. And what that gives you is, of course, a booth at that particular event. So you can, certainly take advantage of our traffic and all those fun, wonderful things. There's also a third thing that it provides you, which is this. If you want to create a little bit of income and have a great little JV, if you haven't already, you can sign up here for partner. I know many of you have already. our live events for promoting it are done, but we have this replay, which is really good. We can get you an affiliate link for that. And I just did our first webinar using Webinar Jam, and it has gone to, they've got this thing called Replica Replay, which we sent an email out, I think yesterday, testing or something, and there's been like five purchases since. So there's a great little 60-minute webinar that's also outstanding if you want to play with that. For those of you who are JV Mastery members, the JV Launchpad follows JVology Live, and that is, of course, in San Diego, same hotel, everything. It's December 3rd through 5th. And this is where we literally put the, assuming you have Infusionsoft, of course, we put the campaign in your Infusionsoft file. You have our emails. We teach basically the segments, how this whole thing looks is that we teach for 20 minutes. This is what we're doing. This is the strategy. This is what you need to do. And then you go and do it. The idea is by the time you leave there, you have built out a complete funnel for a webinar or a complete funnel for a one-on-one consultation so that you can actually have something done and working. And so if you've been thinking about getting your butt to that, the answer to that is yes, because my favorite word in the universe is done. My wife sees him. She goes, "Are you sure it's not free?" It's like, actually, it's not. It's done is way better than free. Then, as well, I literally just got off the phone with Captain Lou for the Marketers Cruise, which I will be speaking on. And there are still some, and they're only inside, just to be clear, inside cabins left. So it doesn't have the balcony and those sorts of things. However, the truth of the matter is I don't think you're going to spend much time in the cabins anyway. So if you're game for that, the inexpensive cabins, I think they've got like 10 left or 12 left or something like that. The deck ones have been gone now for a few weeks. Those are the brief sort of housekeeping details. And just please remind yourself, if you don't have them in, for those of you who are new, is that the, let me get the pointer up. Is that this is the traditional time frame, and thank you, by the way, for moving for this one because of my flights. But make sure you've got the second Thursday of every month at noon Mountain Standard, and away we go. All right, housekeeping complete. Now, let me just see where we're at here. Give me a second. I'm trying to see everybody at the same time as having the slides up. Just doesn't really work out particularly well. So, come on, machine. How about if I do it this way? Stop sharing. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. So here's what I'd like to do is that when the community is a little bit smaller, I'd like to just do a brief little introduction at the beginning so we know who's who and what's what. Please understand, at the end of the call, you have your official opportunity for JV invitations. So at this stage of the game, it's really just, I want you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you're working on, what your unique business is, what you're building, all those sorts of things. And I'm going to unmute you in my order, or ask you to go in the order that I see you presented on my screen. And then we all know sort of who's who and what's what, and we can help each other dive in a little bit better. So Mr. Craig McDonald, you are the upper left. If you would unmute yourself and introduce yourself, tell the group a little bit about what you're up to before we dive on in.
Yeah, so my name's Craig McDonald. I'm from Moncton, New Brunswick, so I think I'm the furthest east of the group.
Canada.
Yeah, old and strong. So yeah, so what I'm working on is a site called realagent.ca. What the site does is connect buyers and sellers to realtors that are of higher integrity, that are basically, the whole idea is that we want to reduce the stress of moving through a great realtor, because it's like moving's already stressful. So when you get a bad realtor, it's usually a nightmare. So that's kind of our main focus. So it just launched August 25th. Attended the JVology Live and reprogrammed everything on my site, and got Infusionsoft sort of light, I guess, up and running. Everything's automated as much as it can be. I got to get the new funnel in soon, but that's where I'm at now, is just trying to, and I've also got my affiliate partners site up finally, like ready to go. So just already had a few conversations over LinkedIn today about that. So yeah, just kind of trying to figure out what life looks like after programming, although I know there'll be some more soon, probably, but yeah.
Does programming ever come again? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Deborah, how are you?
There we go. I'm good, and I am being able to be heard. So I am Deborah Debris. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm a high performance expert and strategist. I'm working right now on 2019, putting together not only my talk for the new year, also a Dare to Soar program. That name may change, which is a hybrid mastermind. It's a year-long high-end program. Also a Dare to Start, which will be the beginner online program for those that are going into the mastermind so they can get up to speed quickly and speak the right tribal language. It's also going to be the marketable 8-week program that I can sell to individuals, and it'll be complete within itself as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Heather Pierce, good to see you, my dear.
Thank you, Jay. Good to be here. So hi, everybody. I'm Heather Pierce Campbell. I'm based out of Seattle, Washington. I attended Jay's JVology last year and then proceeded to have a baby girl and kind of take some time off for a bit, but I'm back, happy to be plugged in. I am an attorney and legal coach, and so I've got kind of two parallel businesses. One is a, quote unquote traditional legal practice here in Washington State, and then an online business, my legal website Warrior Business, which is designed to support information entrepreneurs, particularly in the United States, but it ends up being around the world because so many people have audiences, business audiences based in the United States. So I work with clients all around and help them understand their information business from a legal standpoint, get proper structures, contracts, protections in place, map their intellectual property, get their online businesses buttoned up from a legal perspective. So just all the fun stuff of in the intersection of legal and business.
Very cool. And when I said we need to talk, I'm quite literally in the midst of trying to figure out how to do the IP protection for stuff. So it's like, Yahoo to see you.
Yay. Yeah, we should talk.
All right. Perfect. Mr. Barry Cohen, back from the beauty of Europe.
No, Galapagos Islands.
Yeah,
okay. Clearly, I don't know my geography, but I thought you were heading towards Europe.
No, south of the equator, but I'm going to let Catherine speak so I could save my voice.
Yeah, so on the way back, he got sick. So we're fresh back from the Galapagos Islands, the only cruise I've ever been on where I actually lost weight because it was so active. It is not a cruise for the faint of heart, which will be the opposite of the marketer's cruise. Anyway. So we work with small businesses, solopreneurs, couplepreneurs, to get them unstuck. That's our sweet spot where they've been chugging along now 5, 7, even 10 years and just stop growing and are starting to falter. So that's our sweet spot. We do some group programs. We will be launching a new group program in January. So look for us to start to do some JV asks on that, because we've got we've got the webinar and we've got to tighten that up a little bit. And Barry has implemented the Infusionsoft whatever, so that you can JV thingy. I don't know. I just keep him around because he does the tech stuff. So he's the tech genius of the family. So, these little things that you need if you want to JV and if you want to track these things. So we are finishing everything up to, do so many more launches in January. Plus we do private coaching, and that's, ongoing. But we're real excited about, what we've learned over the last year and what we're taking with us into the next year, as every business should be.
Love it, love it. And yes, getting that affiliate portal done in Infusionsoft is a monumental deal. Way to go, Barry. Yahoo. See, he's not just a pretty face. Marlene, you are up, my dear. If you can give us a little insight, who you are, where you're from, what you're working on.
Certainly. Marlene Allen, and I'm from Mesa, Arizona. Seems like we have a trend going on here, Arizona. Yay. And I'm a master quantum activator, and I work generally with women who've reached midlife, and maybe they're worried about getting older, they get tired out a little more easier, they've got some symptoms going on, and I help them to reduce or eliminate not only the symptoms but also to head off illness or disease by tapping into the fountain of youth, the actual cellular, in working the cellular to reverse the effects of aging. So I have a program for that, and I'm working with clients doing that currently. So what I'm working with now, or working on, I think that was your question, is to also get up my Infusionsoft referral partners program. I've got a program in there, but I'm revising it, so I'm switching things around. Also looking for some speaking opportunities and maybe podcasts and telesummits, that sort of thing.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Excelente. Mr. Mike, if you would give us a brief little rundown, that would be grand.
Okay, here we go. My name is Mike April. I own a tax firm called April Tax Solutions, and I was just tired of doing the one-to-one in the office to be able to show people how they can stop overpaying their taxes. So I'm looking at developing an online program so that I can create a course. People, that business owners, most of them are too busy during the day to jump on Zoom. So at the end of the day, I want to be able to create a course that they can watch on their own, at their own pace, and move forward and learn some tips and tricks that'll keep their cash flow in their pockets, not overpay taxes, and just run their business a little bit more effectively, knowing what their numbers are all about.
Numbers help. Numbers help. Numbers help. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Carolyn.
Hello there.
Hello.
I apologize for not having the video on. This is my third Zoom call today, and I'm in Canada, Jay. I'm in Vancouver.
Oh,
getting
cool.
ready,
Are you getting
ready for Eamon's event?
Fantastic.
And so I learned that with the weak internet at this hotel, if I have the video on, you will not hear me. So I thought it was more important to hear me than see me. So my apologies for that. So I am a business and executive coach, and I work typically with $3 to $20 million companies. And them grow, in particular, creating executive teams and helping their leadership development. And for the past 2 years, thank you to Jay, I have been doing masterminds with the great education that you gave me for that, Jay. And it's working well, and I'm going to continue that into 2019. And I'm adding online training courses, which is why I'm in Canada this week. So that's my focus for 2019, is get everything set up with my online courses, the selling of it, the marketing of it, and certainly the joint ventures that will help me succeed in that. So that's my goal for 2019, keep the masterminds going and add the online component.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you. And Miss Shemaya has jumped online. And by the way, I've seen a bunch of your emails this morning because I'm just back in the office. How are you, my dear? Oh, you got to unmute yourself, my dear.
That helps. Doing
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
So if you can introduce yourself, tell the crew a little bit about where, I think you're coming in from Panama right now,
Yes.
where you're from and what you're working on.
Okay, cool. My name is Shemaya. We live in Panama. We actually have my husband's business, Elixir Vital Health. He's developing a program for women with thyroid issues to actually address the root cause of their problems. He's doing some market research, so if you know anybody that would like to help, that would be definitely great. And then my own business, I have Elixir Business Books. We help dentists and other entrepreneurs to become best-selling authors.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that? Literally, while you were talking, Mitch Russo, an email from him arrived. You know, the little flashing announcement. For those of you who know Mitch Russo, which I think some of you do from LEAD, our mastermind program, she also helped Mitch with one of his books. And he's a very prolific fellow as well, and smart as can be. Okay, and Mary Frances just sent me a note saying that she's in a spot where she cannot talk. So Mary Frances is a brilliant woman who does a bunch of things in terms of women, sensuality, connection. Just finished a live event, which she built almost all of the speakers the sponsors, all those things actually through the JVology community. And I was so hoping for a little update, my dear, but if you're at a spot you can't talk, I understand. Okay, so thank you for the brief rundown, gang. So let us jump into our topic for the day in terms of what it is that we are going to be focusing on. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a preamble related to our topic today. Let me get this posted up again. Please just give me a nod or a thumbs up that yes, you can see the slide, and the slide should say the evolution of the list. Okay, fantastic. So the topic for the evolution of the list actually comes from a couple of things that have been going on for me and for community-wise. And I've just gotten back from two speaking events, one in Palm Springs for Laurel Langmeyer, the Millionaire Maker, and as well, brain fart, JVX is the event, but it's not the organization. The organization is the Joint Venture Insider Circle is what I'm trying to pull out of my you-know-what. Anyway, what was interesting about both of those events is that I was there talking about JVology, and what's funny is that they're new communities to us. So often in terms of speaking about JVology, I'm speaking to people who've either been to a JVology Live, who have been in our community, who have watched a bunch of our stuff, any of those things. But what was great about this was that these were, what I would call like new, sort of new communities that are fresh to this conversation. And guess what? The number one, and by the way, you can just unmute yourself or type it in. Guess what the number one consideration or the number one little conversation that was happening as I'd get, pulled off the side. It's like, hey, this sounds interesting, everything, but I'd like to talk to you about. Guess what the number one thing was?
The list. How big is your list? Who's on your list?
You're absolutely on the right track, Kat, but it was more twisted to this, which is, I don't have a list.
Oh,
my list isn't big enough. I'll use a couple of the conversations that happen here. It's like, I just got my Infusionsoft set up and I don't really have anybody opted in for it yet. And so the big thing about this is that in some cases, it's like, great, you're just starting out. That's no big deal. It's like, now we've got to build it. So what? However, particularly at the big table, which was Laurel's event, this is the Palm Springs event, is that there are people in there who are accredited investors, long-term entrepreneurs, people who've been at it for a very long time, and a bunch of them as well had not invested in their list over a span of years. Now we're talking about people who've been entrepreneurs for decades. And, it got me to thinking about, I remember saying in our courses, in our programs, in our workshops, 10 years ago when I started doing more entrepreneurial work, is like, look, today we're talking about our databases or our list, and I think the broader and more healthy term is databases, but let's just call it the list for the purposes of today. I remember saying 10 years ago is that, just to be clear, gang, is that in 10 years, everyone will get this, and everyone will be building a list, and everyone will be diligently taking care of their data, and everyone will have as one of their standard, like top of the list KPIs. So keep productivity indicators. We'll have list building at the top. And yet here we are a decade later, and people are still futzing around, not paying enough attention to this. So it was those two events, I think in each of them, probably 300 people, and conversation after conversation after conversation, that got me. It's like, good God, we've got to keep this at the forefront of our brains. So here's my first question. And again, you can reply on chat or you can unmute yourself, but I do want to get a sense of it. So how many of you are consistently paying attention to, on a daily or a weekly, and to me, the longest term that you should be measuring this by, how many of you are noticing how many people are opting into your list and your list size growth as a measure of your key productivity, your key things that you have to keep an eye on in your business? And I want to hear from every single one of you because it is that important. So I'm going to hide the screen here for a brief moment. Stop sharing. Cat, every time you're on here, there's always some cat's tail. Okay.
So I'll go first. I am not monitoring my list. I'm like on a consistent basis, and it's one of those things that I know that I should do, and yet I am not doing it. I went through with the GDPR thing recently, and I chopped a huge percentage of my list off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that was okay. It actually felt good because it cleaned up a lot of people that weren't interacting anyway. But I think that one of the challenges that, at least in my mind, I have faced in trying to figure out how to tackle this thing of, you know, growing my list, nurturing my list, is like putting together a comprehensive plan of the journey that I'm going to take people on, right? And doing it consistently and not having it feel scattered and like, oh, I didn't plan this particular message. I've just got to sit down and write one, right? It's not cohesive. It hasn't felt cohesive in the past. And I know I've got important information to share, and I still haven't tackled the beast of like how to put a plan in place for what I'm going to do and how I'm going to address that with my list.
Got it. And thank you for being straight and comprehensive with that. Deborah has answered no. Mike is a clear not with an exclamation mark. And I would like to hear from each of you on this topic. Shemai, I think you're unmuted, my dear.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. We did used to keep track. We're now just setting everything up anew for the new company. So we haven't set it up, but it definitely is something that we track daily and see how it's growing or not growing. Because I agree, it's the Inca, the size of the database is key.
Well, it is, and I know virtually everyone here has heard me say this again, but it still bears repeating, which is our list is oxygen to our business, particularly in the digital domain, but certainly not limited to the digital domain. Barry and Kat, I know you guys have been doing a bunch of work on this. Where are you guys at with it?
Well, I don't think I look at my list as we look at our list as often as we should. But then again, we're not, sending messages out as often or as consistently as we should. We do monitor who's unsubscribing. I do, like yesterday, I looked over the list of, okay, these people have unsubscribed from your list. And I do have to say, I kind of know almost everybody who's on the list somehow or another. Like most of the people on the list, it's a small list. It's close to 2,000, but it's okay. I know this person from here. I know this person from there. And then I get real personal with it. Oh, really? Oh, you just wanted me to like your page and you just unsubscribed from my list. The hell with you.
Raise your hand, by the way, if any of you are paying attention to your unsubscribes, you ever feel that way. Yeah.
But in a way, I guess that's good because I know who's on the list and who I interact with. And, P.S., I'm not interacting with these people really at all. Once upon a time I did, and then they fall off the face of the earth. So I think we might be better than we think we are, but not as good as we should be.
Well, also what we're doing, because we've been basically prepping and nurturing where we're taking it. Right now we have all the pieces in place to put together our new website. I just haven't been up to speed to actually put it together. We have our lead magnet in place. So we have all of these things ready to go. It's just a matter of implementing right now and getting it moving. So we've been paying attention, just not doing anything with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do understand. Does anyone else want to add to that in terms of what's going on? Carolyn, not monitoring regularly, reviewed occasionally, and just getting into shape in terms of JV and online activities. Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate that. Marlene?
Has anybody received a email from Infusionsoft lately about email compliance? I did, and a client that I have received one from their app. And essentially that client had a lot of opt-outs that just hadn't been deleted.
Yep.
So they did that, and then I went in and I got the same alert, okay? And so I went in and deleted, I didn't have as many as he did, but I deleted opt-outs, and I looked at people who haven't engaged for a while, and I deleted some of those. And then I get this letter. I'm supposed to click this link and then fill out this form and tell them what I did and so forth. But I get this email that said, oh, you've been, you're okay now. You've been approved. You're back. You're fine. And I'm like, I haven't even filled in the form yet, but okay. I guess I'm okay. So it's like, well, that kind of got me, off center. So I cleaned up my list. Now I have a new template in there for a newsletter. And so that's my action item now, is to grow the list.
Okay. So short version, those emails come out on a semi-regular basis. My guy, Brad, who takes care of all of those things for us, was saying that a lot of what triggers that is bots opting in, or people opting in with an email address that is unmonitored or undeliverable or any of those pieces. And then what happens is when you send the email, there's an algorithm at the back end of Infusionsoft that says, well, wait a second, if you've got X number of emails and this number are hard bounces or any of those sorts of things, they'll send you out that little note. So don't let it worry you. Just continue to do your best to clean it up. And just, the honest to God truth is that's part and parcel of the challenge.
Okay, so hard bounces are key. Okay, good.
Deborah, my dear.
Hi, so I really don't have a list, period, because I've been working with, 15 clients at a time for the last several years, high elite clients and athletes and such. So they didn't really belong on my list as far as marketing to them in that way. Right now, I signed up to work with our good buddies, Pollyanna and Susan for the media. So I'm looking to gain some people that direction. Though I don't really have a CRM yet. I haven't figured out which one I need to use or should be using, considering that my client base, I'm looking for really the top 12 people to work with and not hundreds of thousands of people. I also have a good friend. I'm speaking at her event on December 1. She has told me she has 10,000 people on her list. Many of them are local, many of them are women, so a lot of them are my ideal clients. I'm going to have a conversation with her to see if that's actually true, but no matter what her list is, she's offered it up. So
Nice. That's fantastic. Cool. Anyone else want to add anything just while we're on the topic before I dive in? Yes, Craig.
I monitor my list every day. Okay. So far, it's 2 people that don't open my emails, but my mother is extremely faithful and opening the emails. So, yeah. Anyone that has any offers for a 65-year-old retiree, send them my way. But no, I'm working diligently to grow it. I actually just got one new opt-in for my my video guide that I just launched, so that's good news. So and I monitor him carefully as we speak. Actually, it's still unopened. I'll let you know when he opens it. But,
okay. Yeah. So just to be clear about this, is the pendulum may have swung to, I don't know, I'm not paying attention to. It's like Bob hasn't opened his email yet. There's somewhere in between there. Yeah. We need a little balance.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not focusing on the business things I should be if I'm stalking my my four people on my list, including my mother.
I would tend to agree, brother. Okay, now on a serious note, gang, here's the piece, is that well, I'm going to try and pull myself back from the rant, but I just, for the love of God, want every single one of you to put a priority on the process of list building. And the honest to goodness truth is, and I get Kat and Barry, I'm going to pick on you guys just for a brief moment, which is this, is that what we're after here is to get the system in place such that it is something that is implicit and consistent with every single day of our business. So I want to just show you guys this as an example. Now, this is not, in terms of the tags that I'm using, this is the JVSS one. Let me just show you. Share. Here we go. So for me, the last 30 days, 192 contacts. Now, for the most part, I only manage it. And by the way, so we're at 36,645 plus or minus. And I culled about 36,000 about 4 or 5 months ago. Okay. And it was that same GPDR and all the rest of it. But here's the honest to goodness truth, is that you can set this report, if it's Infusionsoft or whatever it is you want, you can set it on a 7-day, you can set it on a 14-day, you can do whatever your little heart desires, but 30 days. So to me, this is a little on the low side for us. So it's a little bit on the low side for us, but you can see that it's pretty darn consistent, okay? So we are cranking on a regular basis. Now, here's the part I want you to understand out of this, and why I show this to you, is that for the most part, I didn't do any list building activities that were outside of my normal operations. Okay, so this is the big idea I want you to start thinking about. I didn't do any list building processes outside of normal operations. So that then brings us to, so what the hell are normal operations that bring us, what is that? 90 would be 3, that bring us 6 opt-ins a day. Okay, and 6 isn't huge, but if that's the day-to-day operations, beats a kick in the ass. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's what the day-to-day operations are that I want you all to consider. So number one, and this is Barry and Kat, is that you have a lead magnet, and that lead magnet has been developed and is ready in all those pieces. My question is, where is the lead magnet being deployed? Now, you already said that it isn't yet, and I understand that. But for all of the rest of us, I want you to consider, what is the deployment of that lead magnet? So where is it in terms of consistent posting or reposting in any of the social media? Where is it in terms of making a brief conversation with people, whether that's at JVology Live, in your community, any of the sorts of things that says, hey, I've got this piece I'd love to contribute to your community. Could we do just something as simple as an email swap, which is, I'll send the endorsed mailing for your free content. You send the endorsed mailing for my free content. Nothing has to happen beyond that, right? We don't have to track affiliate links. We don't do any of that shit. We can just say, let's support one another because, you know, shock of all shocks, Heather, every single person I talk to has some version of intellectual property that should be protected in a better manner than it is. I should be sending your shit out on a regular, and I don't mean shit, you just stuff, incredibly high quality content, but I should be sending your stuff on a regular basis to help my tribe stay safe. Does that make sense? So how is it being deployed? Did you have a quick question with that, Heather? No? Okay. So number one, our opt-ins. So with our 2 lead opt-ins, Mastermind Mentors Manual, the JVology checklist, those are the prime pieces. That is where, if I go back and I look at those 192 opt-ins of where they came from, I'm going to wager, just because I was speaking about JVology more in the last while than I have been, that's probably going to be 2/3, 1/3, or maybe 75%, 25% split between those 2 elements. So the part I want you to get from this is, you don't need 1,200 opt-ins. You need 1 or 2 that are directly tied to the core offer that you're going to make. That's it. Now, regular operations. I want to take us back to this idea of, so what are our regular operations? So the next regular operation is, currently I think I'm in 2 summits right now. The Thinkific Summit, and there's something else I can't remember. It'll come to me. But in those processes, when I'm in a summit, what is always the thing that I give away? Kat, please.
I'm going to guess it's the Mastermind manual.
Yeah. Or if we have an event we're leading towards Mastermind to Millions Live, or if we have an event that's leading towards JVology Live, we give away the
JVology book.
That's it. Please understand this, gang. Every single time. And I perceive, and why I'm really trying to make a big stink about this, is that what I keep seeing people do is like reinventing the wheel. It's like, oh, Sally asked me to be on the, Balance a Crystal on Your Head Summit, and therefore I got to get a new opt-in and a new process and a new this and a new that and all that shit. It's a make work project that, number one, does not keep you consistent to the true offer of your business. And number two, you can't keep up with it. It's completely ineffective to have to recreate a bunch of processes for these summits and for these speaking opportunities. Which, by the way, going back to daily operations, if I'm speaking from stage, I never, ever, ever speak under any circumstances where I cannot say, hey, if it's a joint venture audience, hey, would you like our joint venture checklist? Just text opt-in. Right? So that, again, is just integrated. I'm already doing it. They just do their little texting routine, and ta-da, they're on the list. See, and by the way, if we're talking about masterminds, ta-da, it's the Mastermind Mentors Manual. Now, this brings us to just a little fork in the road I want to talk about before we dive back into the what do you call it? PowerPoint. If you get an invitation that doesn't fit your opt-in or doesn't fit the topic of your offer, then my strong suggestion in almost everyone's circumstance here, based on the answers that we got about monitoring and building your list, there's only one answer to that. You say, no, it's not in alignment with how I have my system and operation set up. Full stop. I've had people say, well, could you do a little special something? It's like, no, I can't. This is the free gift. This free gift goes to this opt-in. This opt-in then makes a one-time offer so that I can monetize being on the podcast in some way, shape, or form. This is how it goes. If it fits, I would love to be on it. If it doesn't fit, we just don't do it because there's a multitude of other places where it can. So am I making sense? And is this landing about, you need, for most of you, one great gift that is perfectly in alignment to the offer that you were going to make. That great gift is a simple, clean opt-in. When you get all sexy and things are moving and shaking, which for those of you who are coming to JVology Live, one of the campaigns we could build there is your opt-in to a one-time offer for a steeply discounted digital program. Okay, it's not going to make you $1 million, but here's what it does, is that it gets the opt-in in the hands of the people who want it, and every once in a while, and this is for us, it's probably 3 times, 4 times a month, somebody buys the Mastermind Essentials at a discounted price of $197. Beats a kick in the ass, makes being on those shows and those sorts of things worthwhile. Are you tracking? Okay, so I'm going to stop talking, and I want you all to give me a couple of pieces about what must you do, where are you at with that process, what are you hearing?
So I need to clean up my offers. I've got too many that are out, landing pages, a lot of times they are exactly what you're saying not to do, modified for a specific audience, for a specific preset group. Man, it just sounds so much easier to just be like, nope, here's the thing, here's the pit, So I need to clean up what it is that I'm offering. I probably need a couple based on, one is going to be education probably around the client journey, but I probably need a couple, and I just need to figure out what is like a really prime thing I can offer that will get people to say yes every time.
Yes. And just to be clear about it, for most of us, in terms of the range of our offers and those sorts of things, it's 1, 2, 3, but we just get those nailed. And then there are, and here's the exception, Heather, there are things like giveaways that insist upon having their branding on the page for continuity of the offer. And I only say yes to those if I can take the entire campaign that's already done, duplicate it, add their logo in the 3 places they want us to add the logo, and then it's done. But if they require a whole bunch of other fooling around, it's like, it's not going to work. We're not doing that. And that has simplified my life like mad. And by the way, at the beginning, we had 17,000 different variations of everything under the sun trying to make the damn thing fit. And it's like, no. I think that the key piece of this is that it's often really attractive to like, oh, I could be on a summit. And then it's like, wait a second, that's 2 days of tech work to put shit together specifically for this summit. No, we're not doing that. So anyway, I clean up, narrow, make it consistent. Anyone else? What are you hearing, and what do you need to apply for this? Kat, please.
Okay, so we just had an opportunity this morning to work with a mortgage person who wants to bring us in 4 times a year to speak to all of her realtors because she does continuing education for realtors. Not a bad deal. Asked us how much we want to speak. We said we just want to make an offer. So you're saying that Barry and I are thinking, take a module of our group and, and create like a 4-week program, something like that. So you're saying just repeat that over and over and over again, no matter what we're speaking about at this, 4 times a year. She'd like us to teach something a little bit different, which is fine because, these are 4 different things you need to build your business, and just make the same offer over and over again.
Yes.
Okay, cool beans. So you just saved me a ton of time.
It'll make you a whole bunch more money, just to be clear. So I want to be clear about this. So where's a good example? If you can just bear with me, I'm just going to pop open an example that I hope will help make sense of this. Oh, it won't do that while that show is going on. Okay, just bear with me. It's going to take a little bit longer. But what I want you to understand is this. So let's go to the big table. This thing I did it for Laurel. Here it is. Okay, so I'm just going to share this whole screen here. So even though, and you should just see the whole PowerPoint piece says JVology joint venture checklist, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so even though some of the content around joint ventures for her audience was tweaked because she had a bunch of accredited investors. This was not just about digital marketing. This was none of those sorts of things. So I tweaked the content of my presentation in the same way you will, Kat. There's 4 different presentations on 4 different key topics. Is that I am always looking for in the presentation, what is the spot at which I am going to give them a gift that makes perfect sense. So for in this case, is that we were talking about the JV mindset. And so this is the abundance piece. People, they don't let you down because they're being malicious assholes. Usually they just don't know what to do or where to do it, or they don't have experience and all the rest of it. And if joint venturing is a game of I'll go first, then we've got to be willing to put ourselves out there first. We've got to be willing to lead and let them know what we want, all of those pieces. So here's one of the ways in which you can do that. You can be a leader in your community, in your tribe, simply by understanding what the expectations are when you are supporting other people and when they are supporting you. So we've put together this checklist. You can get it right here. And if you do nothing out of all of the things I talked about today, but you educate yourself on this one point, you're going to be ahead of 90% of people who call themselves their good joint venture partners, right? So that just gets embedded at the right time, regardless of what the content is. We just look for the right spot and the right framing for our opt-in. Does that make sense? The opt-in doesn't change. This always goes to the same spot. This always has the same invitation. This always goes into that same entire process. And when I say the same, I mean in our case, it leads to an invitation for the digital program and or the live event. Now, because those dates change, we have to go in and tweak that a little bit, but we're not reinventing the campaign. We're changing the date of the next course. 2 radically different levels of work. Does that help?
Yeah. So we have. I wasn't going to change the free offer. Maybe just make it a little bit better. But I wasn't going to change the free offer. What we were going to do is offer after they opted in, or at the end of the presentation, just have a different class that they could buy into. But what you're saying is, have the class information we presented to them, like you can go to the back of the room and sign up, as well as if they go into the free offer, it also presents that same class that we're looking to promote.
Yes, if that's what you want. So I want to just reflect back, because I don't want this to be lost. Right. So because there's a bunch of people on this call that are speaking in front of groups of all different sizes. And when we're speaking in front of groups of all different sizes, and we have embedded and ingrained this whole idea that embedded in my operations of my business is my ongoing and consistent list building. Okay, like that's the big idea I'm trying to get enhanced here, right? When that's the case, is that you have to understand that this invitation for them to opt in with their little text, that is separate from and distinct from any other offer. This usually is like in the first, call it 25 to 33% of the presentation. And I tell them right at the beginning, I'm going to give you a bunch of free resources. You should take advantage of them because it's going to make a difference in your business. And then when this comes up, it's like, oh, this was the framing for it. You should do this now, regardless if you do anything else. For crying out loud, do this, right? So then it's just embedded in the process. Then when the time comes, and now I have an invitation for you. This one's not a freebie, but it is exceptional and stunning. This is how you're going to go about that. So these have to be separate for it to work properly. Copacetic? Okay, great.
Jay, I got a question.
Fire away, brother.
So my product or my deliverable isn't out there right now. So what should I do to build my list? Should I do a landing page and just invite people to a free download?
Yes.
Or should I just put something on my homepage with a free download off of my main website page?
Okay, so great question. I'm going to close this. Give me 1 second. So number one, you want a simple, clean, easy, beautiful opt-in that you can accumulate people who are interested in your offer. So whatever that opt-in is, save taxes, because we're getting to that season again. Yeehaw. My dear friends at Revenue Canada and I get to visit more. So you want something there that is going to be a natural lead into. It's like, hey, you downloaded this particular bit of data, and here's what's coming up. You're getting to year end in many cases. How are we going to deal with this? Make sense?
Right.
Okay. So that's all well and fine. Just get that done. Start accumulating that list. The truth of the matter is this: if we could put 2,000 people on that list.
But how do I advertise that list? I guess, I can understand what needs to be said, but how do I market that at this point? Do I put it on my website as a free
I'm getting there. I promise I'm getting there. So,
Okay.
So generally speaking, you can put it on your website and it's going to do almost nothing. Okay.
Right.
And here's like rule number one, if we go to the basics of online marketing, is that a landing page is a single choice page. So in the old days, they used to call it a squeeze page. Now,
Right.
do you know why it was called a squeeze page?
No.
It's because they squeezed you for your email address or nothing else. That's really what that meant. It's like, make this choice to do it or go on your merry way. Both are fine. If you put your opt-in on your website, you'll occasionally get somebody who opts in. But the truth of the matter is this: is that there are too many choices on our websites for people to get distracted and confused and go 18 other things. Like, I'm not going to opt in. I just want to go see what's happening over here, and then I'm going to go see what's happening over there, and suddenly I'm watching singing cats. Okay, your opt-in page is one single page that says, "Canadian small business owners, Trudeau is screwing you over. Click here to find out how to save X number of dollars or X percentage in taxes," because I was going to make some other smart-ass comment about our political structure, but I won't. Just do it, okay? And then we will opt in. Now, where you're going to share that this is where the JV piece begins to happen. So top of the list is any Canadian entrepreneurs, any Canadian coaches, any Canadian organizations that have lists of entrepreneurs. You say, hey, I would love to be of great service to your tribe and help them save significant money heading into tax season. Would you be willing to share this? That's where that goes. Okay, just sitting and living on the website ain't going to do much about it. Now,
Right.
if I finished that piece and I knew that my digital program is shortly behind it, which I really believe that, and I'm going to lobby you as well as other people on the call here. Who here has a digital program in your head and heart that you have you have it framed, you know this shit inside out and upside down, but you've yet to record it and put it into a structure that is easily saleable? Raise your hand. Okay, so I'm going to tell you super top secret, easy thing in the universe to get this shit done. Okay, now everybody just lean in with your ear towards the... No, Mike has heard this
Bad
before,
joke.
It is his really bad joke.
Bad joke.
I saw you lean in, Craig. Don't give me that.
So Mike has heard this before, but he hasn't done it. So I'm going to say it louder to Mike. The rest of you might want to pull away from the speaker, which is this. You frame out what the course is. You sell the course as a beta or a pilot. Everyone knows that it is a beta and a pilot. And you bring them together on Zoom calls, and you teach what it is that you are going to teach. You answer the questions that it is that you're going to answer. You take that video, clean it up a little bit if you want to, and post it in your Thinkific, in your WordPress, in your Kajabi, in your whatever the hell site it is. I don't care. And the course is done. You can always go back and add meat to it, but the framework is done. So you pre-sell it, you figure out what the pillars are, you set the dates to teach it, and then you teach it. And it's at the end of that process, it's freaking done. That is the only way, in my humble opinion, anyone should ever build a course. Otherwise, there's 12 million reasons to avoid it. There's a reason why we're not quite ready yet. There is all that shit will happen. I would like you to help our tribe save money for taxes. You go set 6 topics, go set 6 Zoom dates, and let's sell that damn thing. And at the end of it, your course is probably 90% done. Go back in and clean it up a bit. Does that make sense? Okay, so going, yes, or partway done, not complete. Absolutely. I mean, you're going to have to go back and clean up and add some downloads and add all that shit. But the framework, the vast majority, we're in the bag. Now, the next piece about that I want to be really clear about is that when you set that date, then particularly in Calgary, every BNI group, every Lions Club, every entrepreneurial community, every meetup that you possibly go to, you go and say, and you speak. It's like, hey, because what entrepreneurial group is going to say no to an accountant who's going to save taxes? And you say, hey, I have a 10-minute presentation that outlines the things that people absolutely need to know about saving taxes, and I have a free gift for them that will actually put money back in their pocket. And you just get out and you start talking about it, you raise your profile about it, you give away that document with it, and ta-da, you will have sales. Okay, I'm rant over. You can all lean back.
Okay, I didn't create my video that way. I just didn't leave my bedroom for 3 days and recorded and whatnot. So it's all done and polished now. But what I've done is I realized I wasn't getting anyone opting in, but people visiting. But yesterday I had other information that I was looking their name, whatnot. I just changed it to email and click accept or whatever, then it goes through.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, it's kind of a specific question, but like, would you ever send a confirmation email, like the double opt-in? Because I find people are getting stuck at that phase, and does it really matter? Because I can see if they opened it. If they didn't open it, well, maybe it's the wrong email. But if it's open, then it's confirmed anyway.
Yeah.
Is it just a barrier?
I don't do the double opt-in, and there's a whole bunch of debates around it. So I can argue both sides of this. We have tested it both ways, and where we landed is that it's single opt-in, and we do our thing with it, and we try to keep on top of the cleaning up the list as much as we possibly can. That's it.
Because I got my new friend here, number 4 on my list. The email, please confirm your email address unopened. I'd rather that say your first video is ready to be viewed. Mm-hmm. A lot more sexy than click here to confirm your email address.
You will lose up to 40% of the people that you're asking to double opt-in.
Okay.
So at this stage of the game, if I'm really trying to get a push here, I just drop that for the time being. Make sure that you meet all of the other standards that Canadians require, but that is not one of them. So give that a shot, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Marlene, you had your hand up, my dear?
Yeah, in regards to opt-in and the free gift, so to speak, I was doing a free reading for people, but they're just taking too much of my time. And then I would have an ebook, but I don't feel it's exciting enough really to capture attention. So I can do a webinar. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe get people opted into a free webinar, and I can actually do a clearing for people on the webinar as a kind of a freebie or something. And
so I love that idea. So let's just talk for a brief moment before we go back to the slide on this topic. Here's what I love about a webinar. I love 3 things. Number 1 is that the individuals who actually show up at the webinar actually had to take some specific actions. They had to show up. They had to change their schedule. They had to do all of those pieces. They're actually there, fingers crossed, alive, breathing, participating in the webinar. There are so many great things about that. That's the good news to it. Now I'm going to list off all of the bad news. Okay. Bad news number 1 is that the opt-ins for webinars are a tiny fraction of the opt-ins of well-matched digital rewards. And here's the reason, if you think about this, because I couldn't quite figure that out. It's like, well, this is way more valuable. Why the hell wouldn't they come to my webinar? I'm going to rock their world, for crying out loud. But here it is. In a nutshell, we as human beings are lazy and busy. And we like this thing called instant gratification. Even if we never open the damn PDF that's sent, there's a psychological piece of, I asked for something, I got it, it's in my email inbox, loop completed, and it all happens automatically in a matter of measurable seconds. So an instant download will outperform a webinar sometimes by as much as 4 and 5 times. So you'll get only 20% of the people opting in for a webinar that you would get if it was the right digital download at the right time in the right place. Okay, so here's the magic trick with that, just to be perfectly clear. Who here, just raise your hand if you know the magic trick I'm about to share. Okay, lean in. No. So the magic trick is this, is you use the digital download because it has a far greater engagement rate. And when they click, please send it to me, the thank you page that comes up is you saying, it's like, that was brilliant of you to download that PDF. And make sure that you actually read it, because it's going to give you some of the keys to staving off the ravages of time from a deep cellular level. Now, here's the thing. Many of us can't really take advantage of everything I taught you there because we don't have some of the skills and the abilities and all the rest of it. So I would like to invite you to a live training I have coming up on XYZ and LMNOP. And all you need to do is click the button below and you can attend that as well. So here's what we've done, if you've tracked it properly, is number one, we've taken advantage of the strongest engagement and the most likely action, which is get the digital download. Then we have made a personal, compelling invitation to a larger number of people than we would have gotten if we were just advertising the webinar alone. And we get those people engaged. And what it does is it separates the people who are like, yeah, send me a PDF, to it's like, hey, I'm seriously interested in this. Click, boom, and then you have the possibility to get them and this is, don't underestimate the timing of this. You have the possibility to get them into the webinar, which when they got the download, you are again about 5 times more likely to get them to say yes to the webinar than if you get their email address and then 2 days from then send them an email. It's like, hey, what about my webinar? There's a timing and a flow piece that if you're going to do this, that's how you do it.
Okay.
Did you track everything I was saying? And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. It's that.
I like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. It's a big, big, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, Mike, that would be one of the same things for you that would do really, really well, I bet. And you know what I would do, just on that same note? Just we're just in the middle of doing accounting and year end and new systems and new, so taxes are, present for me. But one of the things that would be really brilliant in your spot would be all of the filings that entrepreneurs have to do for Revenue Canada. Those deadlines that, and I'm the first to admit that I am a dumbass about this, just to be perfectly clear. But my accountant says, hey, we only have a week to pick how much money you earned last year. It's like, oh shit. Like a month before those deadlines, you should have a campaign that is aimed at exactly that process. So again, this is an example where the campaign is going to be, it's like, hey, you got to file your personal. Hey, you got to make your deadline. Hey, you got to do your GST. Hey, you got to, like, whatever those things are. Now, it all still leads to the same thing, which is how to manage your taxes and not get ripped off by the government. It all goes to the same thing, but we have different compelling reasons because those are the trigger points that we've got to cope with as entrepreneurs. Like, those campaigns would kill it. And if you were to reach out to any entrepreneurial organization and say, hey, in 30 days, every one of your members is going to be doing one of these. Oh, shit. I can help with that. Let me help with that.
Okay.
Okay, Kat, and then we'll go to the list, and then we'll do our invitations, okay?
I was going to say that targeted campaign, when we ran our software, that sort of targeted campaign, I would do every month automatically. And it said, hey, if you're using this other software, you need to back up your stuff because that software will only back up from this day to this day, not everything that it said. I got calls every month. Wait, what do you mean by that? What do you mean I'm not able to back everything up? Nope, you can't do it. Here's how you do it. And I'd show them how to do it on their software. Here's how you do it. And here's what we could do for you. So those sort of targeted emails like that, at a specific time when you've got to take action are tremendous.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Knock that out of the park for sure, for sure. Okay. All right. So there's a couple of things that for some of you will look familiar. Some of you will have seen this. Some of you, this might be new news, but I want you to start thinking about it, because most of what we talked about here today was in reference to email list, or some version of reference to email list. And I want us to have a little conversation that's broader than that. Excuse me. That's broader than that, so that we can begin to think about this in a bunch of different ways. So in the same way as I want your business operations to have a consistent way of driving traffic all the time, and of course to your opt-in list, but to different things as well. So let's go through that real quick. So there are different areas, and what I want you to be clear about when I'm talking about a list, I'm talking about not just emails. I'm talking about, in an ideal world, a list is anything that allows us to have proactive outreach on our behalf. Okay, so I'm going to start with the old school of the old school, because I still do, in all seriousness, digital stuff for the initial connection and list building. But you know what? More work happens on this crazy thing here called the phone or Zoom or some version thereof than any other way. So, of course, physical address. I am going to be taking a major run at direct mail again in 2019. I've done a couple of little tests with it that have been actually really, really strong, but I'm going to be doing that as well. Email, of course, text and SMS, which, by the way, is really powerful for getting into the hands of the right person. When we're doing full-on launches, the primary strategy for launch management is not emails. And when I say launch management, I'm talking about getting people to do what they said they were going to do. Is not emails, is not the Facebook, JV partner list. It is individual texts that say, hey, how's it going? Hey, did the email go out yet? Hey, thanks for mailing because that knocked it out of the park. You know, it looked like, you know, you generated like 400 opt-ins or whatever the case may be. That's how that happens. And then, of course, Messenger and Messenger bots, which I'm a huge fan of in terms of engagement and all of those pieces, but you got to do them right, okay? So those are the key pieces I want you to think about. And while we're going through this, gang, I want you to really be thinking about, how do I integrate that on a consistent, regular basis? All right. Now, we have the outreach. Now we have the in-feed or in the stream. So Facebook, that could be your personal page or your business page. And you know, in the long and the short of it, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet, and we're not going down this rabbit hole, but I just need you to understand is that your business page will, for all intents and purposes, be a ghost town piece of shit. It is just sort of how it goes. With this exception, you still need it to be able to run ads. You can't run ads without your business page. So you got to get one, you got to do something with it and hope like hell. But that's how you're going to run your ads. The next, of course, is the pixel. And I am a fervent believer that in all likelihood, your pixel list is one of your greatest assets should you use it properly. So Marlene, I'm just going to give this as an example. So let's just imagine that you got your great download that then went to the webinar invitation. And let's just arbitrarily say the people that went to your download page, there was 100 people visited the download page, 50 people opted in, which would be fantastic. But now there's 50 people who we know are interested in what you had to say because they went to the page, but they weren't willing to give their email address or something, or they got distracted, or whatever the case may be. That pixel list we can still target for ads, communication, offers, invitations, all of those pieces. And the honest to goodness truth is my pixel list is, you know, we've said, my pixel list is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 150,000 in terms of people who have been in and on and off our list and all the rest of it. Arguably, my pixel reach in terms of the ability to target a message is probably stronger than my opt-in list of 36,000 people with an average, and I'm going to use for simplicity, with an average of a 10% or a 15% open rate. Okay, that's only 3,000 people or 4,500 people that are going to see a message that I send. But my pixel list is going to have my message show up directly in the feeds of 150,000 people. the odds of being seen from my pixel list are actually stronger than being seen from an email I send directly. Think that through for a little bit. It's why we've got to keep that in mind. Our messenger list, so that's the bot and all of those pieces, that is one of the greatest in terms of, you know, they say about 85% of messenger bot messages are opened, and that's pretty fantastic. By the way, I'm just getting, I had asked for, I want to just check something because I just got a, yeah, no go. I had a JV opportunity for you guys from Alina Vincent, but the darn thing just closed, which is unfortunate. Timing. Dan. Okay. So Messenger, of course, LinkedIn is another. You can create groups in there. You can do on the stream. You can do some ads depending on your targeting. Twitter, Instagram, and of course Pinterest. I don't want you to get all. I don't want you to get all overwhelmed. It's like, oh shit, there's just too much. Like, yes, there is too much. I freaking hate it. But you have to pick your strategy. And what I mean by the strategy is, how am I going to embed this into my business? Okay, so that the opt-ins or the joining your group or the saying yes to your messenger bot or following you on Instagram, whatever it happens to be, it just gets built in. So don't pick all of them. Pick one, get it mastered, then pick the next. Get it mastered, then pick the next. Now, for us, we're pretty simple and straightforward. We don't do a bunch of complex shit. We have 2 opt-ins. Those 2 opt-ins are what we share on every podcast, on what we share on every summit, on what I share on every single stage in the universe. Then we have a couple of Facebook groups, which we'd like people to come and join. Yahoo. And then we have a growing contribution on Instagram, and we manage our pixel list. That's pretty much all we can do. And in my humble opinion, I don't think we do a great job of it, but at least we are consistent in those domains. And each and every one of those, if you look at the KPI, the indicator, is that every single week, every single month, those numbers are going up. And occasionally we'll say, hey, let's go add 500 people to Instagram. And we do. A couple of extra videos, a couple of little invitations, a couple of shout outs from a couple of influencers, and ta-da, we're on our way. You with me so far? Okay. Now here's the key piece to this, and I know everyone who was in JVology recently, you've heard me say this, but I will just articulate it again. The trend for emails and email opening is continuing to fall. Okay, which means that we have to become multi-channel. So master email, because it still works and it's this marvelous price fundamentally of free, but also look elsewhere. What else are you going to do? So is that going to be your pixel list? Is that going to be your Instagram? Is that going to be your messenger bot? Is that going to be what? Doesn't matter. You just got to decide. Okay, so on that same note, curated audiences. And I'm a real big fan of curated audiences. This is where we have done stunningly well. And I'll just use the top of the list for me is stages. So I just got back from Palm Springs and Newport Beach. Those were highly curated stages. Okay, the JVX stage is our perfect and ideal offer. So we made an invitation for people to come and attend JVology Live. I had a, get this, 3-minute speaking spot. Now, I was also a shark on their Shark Tank ahead of time, but in a 3-minute speaking spot. In 3 minutes, we had 96 people in the room, and I got 49 forms with credit card filled out for people who want to attend JVology Live on a special offer. In 3 minutes. That's the power of a curated audience. Thank you. That's the power of a curated audience. And honest to God, let's be clear about it. That wasn't because I was this marvelous speaker. It's because it was the right message with the right audience at the right time. That's really the key there. Podcast listeners, you can do exactly the same thing. Meetup groups, you can do exactly the same thing. YouTube, you can do exactly the same thing. So those are just examples of curated audiences, and there are a multitude of others. But the better it is matched, the easier it is for you to get that up and running and working. Of course, Facebook video, Facebook groups, and any sort of mobile apps. And just an example of because if the mobile app thing doesn't make sense to you. So for those of you who met my buddy Ari at JVology Live in Calgary, So Ex-Olympian has this MMA business that he's been doing a bunch of cool stuff with. So he's created apps simply to distribute the content of his television shows. And then the app becomes a way in which we can reach them with notifications and all those pieces. And people are, generally speaking, if they turn the notifications on in the app, they're more open to respond to the notification from the app than they are a email or anything else, particularly his audience of, 18 to 26-year-old males. Poof, done. He gets them. So you can think about it from a bunch of different ways. Blogs, they work. I just don't work them. But I know, there are people, Dr. Jockers, if you're interested in a blog that really, really works, drjockers.com. He makes a freaking fortune, like 7 figures from his blog, which is a perfectly curated audience on health, healthcare, weight loss, nutrition, all of those pieces, knocks it out of the park. And then, of course, there is some variations of this, which is location specific, and this is geotagging. So we know where the opt-in comes from. For those of you that are planning on doing events, that becomes interesting and important. And of course, geofencing, which is something that we've been playing with, but it is this idea of being able to reach and to target people who are in a specific location. And you can do that through Facebook. There are some technologies for Android where you can do it just because they're walking by and they can recognize their phone. But one of those elements of curated audiences is who is in what location at what point in time. And I'll just share with you guys, the next JVology Live after San Diego is going to be in Nashville, and it is directly following Funnel Hackers Live. Now that's the ClickFunnels annual conference, and they have about 3,500 people, 3,500 people there who are in this process of creating funnels and marketing, those sorts of things. We are going to target that hotel, and we're going to target that hotel for an entire week with our JVology ads and postings, because JVology Live is following directly thereafter. So it's an aggressive experiment that I will keep you posted on, because I actually have a really good feeling I think we're going to knock it out of the park there. Okay, that is really all I wanted to say about the evolution of the list. And
can I ask a quick question, Jay?
Of course, that's what I was going to.
Regarding we're on the same page. Look at us. So the Facebook groups, I'm thinking that's probably the next thing I'm going to start into. But like, what do you do there? Do you just open a group for, first-time buyers would be a good one for me, right? But like, how do I get people in it? Is that like Facebook ads, or is it? I don't know how to get people who are first-time buyers into the group.
So 2 things. And I'm just going to answer this other question here. If you can just bear with me 1 second.
Yep.
Come on, machine, go.
Excuse me.
Okay. So here is the answer to the Dr. Jockers thing. Got to give that to everyone. And by the way, he has a ketogenic program that is JV ready and has been converting like mad. If any of you had a health list or any of those sorts of things that you were interested in, you could go send him a note saying you're interested in becoming an affiliate for his keto program, and you'll do well with that. You'll make money. So back to what you were talking about, Craig, in terms of, so how do I get people to the Facebook group? So a couple of things that happens is, number 1, that opt-in piece that we were talking about in terms of email lists, in terms of spending a little bit of money on traffic, not too much money on traffic, but a little bit of money testing all of those pieces, is that you want to then have a link. So the page you have delivered, whatever it is that you were going to deliver, that welcome page should integrate and say, hey, if you want to participate in other conversations, if you want additional resources about how to mitigate your costs in terms of moving, if you want to know how to cope with the stress, all those sorts of things, come participate in our Facebook group where we discuss these sorts of things and so much more. Click here to join. So it becomes something that happens in every single email. It becomes something that happens in every single opt-in and download. That link to the Facebook page should be a clickable link in the PDF that you're going to send them for your resources. It just becomes embedded absolutely everywhere. And you're going to have
and then you can have different subjects too, I'm assuming, right? Like first-time buyers or luxury home buyers. You could have vacation rentals or investors, that sort of thing.
Yes, but let me caution you, don't create too many groups. So have one large group that you can steer the conversation within that large group to, hey, if you're a first-time home buyer, you should know this. Or, hey, did you know in the luxury home market? Because you might not be there, but as you get more successful, you might be. So because managing multiple groups is a epic pain in the ass. Like not a little bit epic, like epic.
Big ass. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sense? So do it everywhere. Spend a little money on Facebook. In terms of, this is one of the things where they will do campaigns to fill groups and start feeding that absolutely everywhere you possibly can. This is also another great example of if you can find a community or a list that is ancillary to this, then you offer additional resources there. You do a JV with the owner of that other group, trying to drive people to your group.
Okay. I guess once you have the group there too, like you have your list of documents to help them there, like your freebies or whatever, then you can do regular webinars, I'm assuming.
Facebook Lives, webinars, invitations to mini email courses, all of those pieces.
Okay, and then as people move out of that process and they buy their first home, then they're just removing themselves from the group, but then other ones are coming in. That's the whole idea, right? Just keep the people flowing in and out. So in my mind, I'm thinking first-time buyers, first-time sellers is probably a pretty huge market. Those that get a lot of questions about that. It's just because they bought a house doesn't mean they're comfortable with selling it down the road either, right? There's still a lot of unknowns.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Anything else we can answer about that before we do invitations?
Hi guys, this is Julie. How are you?
Good to see you, Julie. Great. How are you?
Good. I wanted to share that I've had great luck with, can you hear me okay?
We got you. Yep.
Okay. I've had great luck on building Facebook groups by, instead of being very specific about your purpose for your group, Facebook, one of the things people do most on their feeds is they like, and so you do something inspirational. And then when you go, you can click on who has liked your inspirational post, and you can invite that person to join your group. And if you get that into your routine right now, like literally every day, just post an inspiration, networking, expanding your organic reach, and then inviting people to join your group just because of that inspirational thing. Like, I love living in Phoenix. I love my home. They just put a bunch of, trees over in the such and such. Don't we love our community? That kind of stuff. Like dogs, kids, try not to be so specific, be inspirational, get the likes, and then invite immediately. And by the time you want to launch your group, you've actually got a group. Because what's frustrating is you get yourself all organized, you go to start a group, and you don't have a group. So that's my recommendation.
Great example. Thank you.
It's just me and my mom, right? Yeah.
Anything else, gang, on the evolution of the list and the strategy that you're going to roll out from it? Okay, all good. All right, so then let's wrap up here, which is always an opportunity for invitations. So if you have an offer that is JV ready, this is a time for you to say, hey, this is what it is. This would be an ideal partner. And I want to qualify this again, just because it takes some practice. And of course, this is one of the reasons why coming to JVology Live more than one time helps, which is you're not selling us what you're selling. We are your JV partners. We're going to assume that what you're selling is solid. Okay, so you're going to say, this is an offer for my legal IP protection course, which is $19.97. It is ideal for digital entrepreneurs. If you have a list of digital entrepreneurs, I would love to have you host a webinar. Anything that we sell, we will split 50-50. If you're interested, talk to me more. That's it. The whole thing shouldn't take like 60 seconds. Short, to the point, and laser, and tell us what the offer is. Tell us who wants to buy it. Tell us what we get paid, and then you can reach out and connect after that. Got it? Okay. Anybody ready with an invitation? Now's the time. Yes, please, Kat.
Okay, not an invitation. Last month's homework was to do interviews within our group with JV partners. We would love to continue to do them. They have been fabulous. We interview them, they interview us. They interview us, we interview them. It's been great for driving traffic, for getting to know our JV partners. So I want to thank you for that assignment. And we did it, and we want to continue to do it. So anybody who's interested, we would love to do that as soon as we figure out how the heck Be Live works.
Okay, Be Live was given problems today.
And sometimes there is tech problems with it. And just by the way, gang, if you go into the JVology Global Lounge piece, you will see details on setting it up via Be Live. You will see examples of what it actually means. And this is just one of the greatest ways in the universe to start building your list. So for crying out loud, keep doing that. So thank you, Kat. I love that. For those of you that are going, what the hell is he talking about? Go see that. But what it really boils down to is each of you host one another in a Facebook Live on. You host them on your page, they host you on their page, and it broadens your reach, and it's simple, clean, and easy. So that's number one. Great. So keep doing that.
Where was that video posted? In the Global Lounge last month?
Yes, it's in the Global Lounge Facebook page in there. And it's all the setup from how to do it on Be Live, the whole shebang.
Okay. And last month's homework was in which training?
No, last month's homework was for the Global Lounge homework.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else ready with invitation?
Yeah, I'm ready for one.
Okay.
Yeah, so what the offer is basically 35% of any monies I receive from any leads that come in will be passed on through PayPal to the referring partner. So it's generally for anyone you know that's along the journey of buying a house. So people who are working in the finances, or even funeral home directors, believe it or not, or anyone that has a contact with people who are really buying or selling a house and looking to ensure that they hire a high integrity realtor. So when I get my commission, you'll get 35% of that as a finder's fee, and it was through PayPal, and we are JV ready through Infusionsoft last week.
Great. So how do we sign up as a partner for you, Craig, if we're interested in that?
Yeah. So I'm just going to send I just sent it on the chat there. So it's realagent with an s.ca/partners. And there's a whole description there, and just some verbiage. And then once you get your account set up, there's some resources that you can find in your Infusionsoft link. And it's all ready to go. It's a bit of a unique program because you don't get, I'm not selling anything immediate, so you won't get money right away, but in 3 to 6 months you may make 5-10 times the amount you may make in other referral programs, because if it's a large house, you could, there's no limit to how big the check could be. $1 million house, you could walk away with $1,500 or $2,000 being sent to you in PayPal. So it just depends on what size of the house it is, but once it's part of the process that as soon as I get the check, I do the PayPal transfer. It's like the same day sort of thing. I don't want to delay it. We've both waited long enough, but that's kind of the way real estate works. It's not an immediate sale, but long-term investment. Yeah.
Craig, what market are you in? What city?
Well, I'm in Moncton, but I serve Canada and the United States. So I have 3 programs. One is a do-it-yourself guide, and what that does is it just funnels people into the services that we get paid to. And so the second service is there's a lot of professional referral agencies out there, and I researched all of them to basically rule out all the bad apples, and I've got the few of them that are actually put the clients first, and then I use them to find the great realtors, and then they pay me as a realtor the commission, and then I pay you the finder's fee. And then the third service is if you have a luxury home, and if you have a $1 million house, you want me to find a realtor, then I'll go out and do that. Generally, we're both getting paid more, because I can, instead of getting 25% of commission, I'm getting 35-40%, and then passing 35% of that as a finder's fee off to you. So there's a lot of potential there, and there's like no caps or anything. We can both make as much money as we can.
Got it. Thanks.
And by the way, I just went through the sign-up process. Very nicely done, comprehensive, clean, easy to follow, and like virtual high five.
Thank you. I worked really hard alone in my room with that. Yeah.
Well, really well done. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Shemaya.
Okay, good. I'm here. I'm presenting Chris because he has another call if you moved the date. He has developed the thyroid health thyroid control program, which is an 8-week program for women that have thyroid issues or suspect that they do. It's not everybody is diagnosed, but they may feel very tired or have hair falling out or other complaints that I suspect it's thyroid. It is the beta program, so I cannot exactly say the percentage, but if you have somebody, just let me know and we'll work something out. The first group is launching in January, so it's a good start of the new year.
Perfect. And is there a place for us to sign up and to register to support that and all of those pieces?
In the process of setting that all up. So for now, just find me, connect with me on Facebook or in the JVology group, and then we can work something out.
Okay, very cool. Love it, love it. Anyone else?
Jay?
Yep.
Marlene. This is my first time here, so I'm not 100% prepared with the Infusionsoft referral link, but I am working on it right now. But I can give a link to a session page on my website.
Okay.
So a great partner for me would be somebody that has a list of women, preferably like 40 plus. The offer is a menopause makeover, and it reverses the cellular effects of aging. It increases the primary life force, releases premature aging patterns. We work in the DNA, release ancestral tendencies and cycles, timelines, reverse inflammation. We work in the memory centers, and we do recharge what's ever been sapping their energy, reset their biological clock or for their age by like 10 years or more. And that sells for $29.97. The price is going up at the with the new year, and the affiliate share is $797. And that's one-on-one with me, so that's a great price, and it's going into groups after the new year too. So I'll put a link in the.
And I'm just typing as fast as I can, Marlene. And the affiliate fee, the affiliate earning is $797. Did you say?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a link to my scheduler, and that will get you. And as soon as you fill in your email address and your name in there, I'll be able to then take that information and send you the actual Infusionsoft referral link.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic. Now, just on this note, make sure, gang, that any of the invitations you also post in the Global Lounge so that we can begin to have a thread for each of our, because I will always put the recording of this in the Global Lounge. The thread underneath that is a perfect place to put those invitations. So the video, then people can say, oh, hey, I know who's who and what's what. These are the invitations. They can find them easily. So that's our new policy in terms of where to post so that we can keep track of them in relationship to the calls. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Do you not want, should we post them in the JVology live groups as well, or just the lounge?
You're totally welcome to do it in JVology live as well. Because that's a public group. One of the things I'm going to ask you guys to do, and we're just working on a system for this, but just put in there as like Global Lounge member or JV Mastery member, joint venture offer. So we know who's who and what's what, because we want to keep it spam free as much as we possibly can. And we want to make sure that there's the communication piece where we know who's who and what's what in the zoo. And then we're going to put a little further structure to that to make sure that works.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Going once. Julie, I saw you going to unmute. I'm watching you.
Sorry. Okay. I missed the beginning, and I'm sorry if I'm asking something that's already been asked. So, and on the product side, I have my sulfur and I have additional supplement products. So can I be looking at everything we discussed from that context? Do you talk about digital download? Of
course.
With that mindset.
Yeah. And here's the thing. And I just want to broaden your question actually even a little bit more, Julia, which is this. Is that we have people in the community who have physical products. We have people in the community who have like retail stores where there's like, they spend more on rent than, it boggles my brain. So it's everything under the sun. Lots of times when we're talking about digital marketing, it sounds like, well, wait a second, that's excluding what we're doing. But from my perspective, please hear that whenever I'm talking about that stuff, my belief is this: whether you have a retail store, whether you're selling on Amazon, whether you have a physical product, whether you are selling time, whether you're selling intellectual property, is that we all still need methods and means to create the list of both prospects and customers, and that this is overlapping, and we just simply need to tweak and adapt for, I'm my whole thing, I'm thinking my sister and brother-in-law, is like, so we got them on Infusionsoft, and the whole piece was, how do we capture the 500 people a weekend that are buying their stuff, that want to buy their stuff more? And it's like, good Lord, that one thing took them from floating around like $500,000 to they'll do like 2.6 this year. So it's always adaptable. We sometimes have to connect a couple of dots, but always adaptable. Does that help make sense in terms of the broad strokes?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. Do you have an invitation that you could at least maybe plant a seed with us about how we might be able to play together and support one another?
Well, I'm putting together a strategy where I'm going to be giving away free sulfur product. And I think all I need to do is come up with some content around really helping people understand why this is so beneficial, and who my targets are: people who suffer pain, people who have cancer, or a friend with cancer that they want to, maybe gift some information and a product to. And then also people who are power athletes, people who want to maximize their workouts. Those are 3 target audiences I'm working with. So it would be the product, and then content is my offer. So I just have to build, I'm going to build the link, the squeeze page, and by next month I'll have it ready.
Very cool. Now, because you're a Joint Venture Mastery member, are you coming to JVology Live where we can help you build that stuff out?
Yes, actually, I just decided that last night. Yes.
Good job. Yeah, it's so one of the things that I would ask you to do, you're going to get a little bit of prep homework and those sorts of things about getting ready for that, is because those are 3 different markets that are going to require 3 different bits of educational content. For the purpose of the weekend, choose the one you believe is strongest, the one that has the greatest reach for you, the one where you have that unique ability. And if I may lobby you, just because it's my opinion, you can throw it away if you like. But your personal story and the people struggling with cancer is, honest to goodness, where I would start. Like, I think that's where we can do something really powerful and significant for you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'll be ready.
Great. All right, gang. So we're a little bit over time. I apologize for that, but anyone else for invitations before we wrap up?
I'll plant a quick seed for next year. So I'm in the process of wrapping up my online legal bundles, right? And they'll have targets within. All of my people are in I call them information entrepreneurs, right? They're coaches, consultants, online educators, speakers, and authors. They're delivering basically exclusively information through their business in a variety of ways. So I've mapped out, I've broken up the legal needs of people in that space in a way that they could purchase one of 4 bundles at any given point on their journey based on their own needs in their business. So once those bundles are wrapped up and, populated with my content and stuff, then I will be looking to engage other people that touch, have people like this in their audience, to do webinars, to have live conversations about this, and then sell those pre-built bundles. So yeah, more to come on that, but that's the big goal for next year.
Perfect. And this is not my conversation that I want to have with you. But if I may, November, could you jot these down, Heather? Mm-hmm. November 5th.
Okay.
December 3rd.
Yep. January 7th. Okay.
February 4th.
Okay.
Those would be opportunities for you to do it's probably a 45-minute training program for our lead and momentum community, where we always bring experts in, and those timeframes could help you. And I don't know if you want to do that before the packages are done or wait until the packages are done, but that's a match made in heaven, and we require. Well, I just think this whole industry is a little bit sloppy, myself included, on this topic, and that would be meaningful in that domain, and we'd be happy to host you there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I do that regularly, so I'm all about Even that stuff, though, even though it's not live yet, I'm all about planting the seed and building relationships with people and giving them the free information that will help them be a better decision maker in their business. So totally open to those kinds of conversations.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, gang. Last chance. Yes, Kat? Oh, you're waving by. That was an enthusiastic buy. All right, gang. So first and foremost, I want to thank you, each and every one of you, in terms of your input. I want to say this for your homework. So your homework, as clear as I can say this, is I want you measuring on a weekly basis. Craig, you're going to go quarterly. On a serious note.
I know where it's going.
I want you to measure on a weekly basis the KPIs you need to measure. So to me, this is email opt-ins. This is Facebook group likes. This is what, if there's a social media platform of Messenger bot or something like that, whatever they are for you, I want you to decide what you're going to measure, and I want you to just start measuring them on a weekly basis. Create a little spreadsheet. You can have a little graph. You can just see, is it going in the right direction? This is important. This is more important than you know. This is the difference between, oh shit, it's been a rough month, to, oh shit, it's been a rough month. What's a great offer we could put in front of the right people that's going to serve them and solve it being a rough month? Like that, it's the same as money in the bank, except it's not money yet. But it will be if you can accumulate the right list with the right support with the right offer. You with me?
Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, if you haven't done those Facebook Lives, connect with Barry and Kat. I watched a whole bunch of them that they did together. They rocked. They were getting really great at the having fun in the interview format. And that's just a fabulous tool to carry forward on this same note. Now, if you haven't, by the way, gang, those of you who are Joint Venture Mastery members, you, of course, have a complimentary attendance at JVology, and you have the right to put a booth up. So your second attendance at JVology Live, you can put a booth up. So you can actually get some traffic for whatever it is your offer is. As well, if you're a JV Mastery member, you have already paid for JV Launchpad, which is where we actually build these things out with you. Experts in the room, laptops open, you and your tech person, if you want it, will help you get that shit done. So if you can swing getting your butt there, let us help you, for crying out loud, because the faster this stuff gets done, the easier this process is. And I think those are the biggies. And if you want to
play, launch pad after December?
It's currently next year. Okay, it's set annually in terms of those timeframes.
Okay, so you don't know when the next one is here?
Yeah, 2019 December, same weekend. Let me look.
Oh, but it's in San Diego.
Like a year out.
Yeah, it's a year out. So I'm just looking at the dates. So
I've just got a whole bunch of conflicting dates all around for stuff I have to do and flights I already have. So
welcome to my life, brother.
Yeah, I know. San Diego, though. I know. Didn't you have one in Calgary last year?
Ages ago, yeah.
So Jay, if we were to come last minute, what's the homework before showing up for the JV Mastery this year? Launchpad, I mean.
For Launchpad, short. And by the way, the homework package is, I'm updating it, and it's very simple and straightforward. It is this: we want you to choose 3 things. Number 1, what is the campaign you want built while you're there? And in our perspective, you can think of it as getting your Infusionsoft partner campaign set up, getting a one-on-one consultation set up, or getting a webinar campaign set up. So there isn't much time to do much beyond that, but you got to choose the campaign you want done. Number 2, you have to make
sure. What 3 were those again? Sorry.
Webinar campaign.
Webinar.
Or one-on-one consultation campaign.
Consultation.
Or your Infusionsoft partner campaign. You already finished your partner campaign, so you'll be one of the other 2, right?
And what do you mean by that, the partner campaign? You mean the one that you push out to affiliates or JV partners that are going to help your...
Yeah, okay. If you were to go see Craig's page and process for realagents.ca.partners, that's in that little chat window. If you go see that, that's what we mean by that.
Got it.
Build the page.
You can sign up too.
Yeah. So that's what we mean by that. So you have to decide what that is. You also have to show up with either... Well, you need a CRM. I'm just going to say a CRM. So that could be your Infusionsoft, and then you need a page building software. That could be Lead Pages, that could be ClickFunnels, whatever it is. But you need to show up with those pieces signed up, ready to go, doing work in them, and all the rest of it. If you are an Infusionsoft user, we will actually take our campaigns that we have pre-built and just install them in your Infusionsoft, so that your task is, rewrite the emails for your process, and create the pages and update the page links in ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or whatever it is, and the damn thing's done.
Got it.
Just a little bit of magic. So that's really all there is to it.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds doable.
Question, Jay. I did sign up for the JVology Live to promote for the San Diego event. For me to attend, where do I sign up for that?
You will use this ticket here, which is the guest ticket. I'll just put it in here, www.jvologylive.com/guest. And that is that same process that we go through, Marlene, which is the $197 seat deposit. When you come get your name tag, we give you $197 back. Or if you want to go VIP, the VIP process, when you do that, VIP process is another $100 on top of that. And just to be clear, it costs us like $300, depending on the hotel, like $308 to about $320 to do the VIP with the food and all that fun stuff. But you can get it for $297. So it's just a wash for us. But if you're going to go, I'm always a fan of VIP just because it gets you a little more access to the people who are moving and shaking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's the same with me, Jay, the guest link there? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, gang?
Okay.
All right. Have a fantastic day. We will see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.